Hi folks, Glenn here, Monster Guitars, and I'm in the workshop with one of the earlier guitars that I've made. You see, some of the older stuff that I made. I mean, you've seen me making this first Coffin guitar in the channel. Well, you might have seen it, but it's up there if you want to watch it. They were pretty cool guitars. I think really cool, actually. In that they were cool concepts anyway. They could have been cool guitars. Maybe that's the thing to say. Yes, they were cool concepts and they look pretty cool. I'm using the word cool a lot. I like the way they look, and it could be something really good. But I was even less experienced when making this than I am now, and that's saying something. So I'm just returning to this guitar in its almost finished state and making some changes. I've just gone and tidied up some of the fretwork. I've realized, gosh, these frets are super low. I'm going to get some razor blades just to tidy up the fretboard as well. There are a few scratches in it, but that shouldn't be much of a problem. The headstock, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with the headstock when that time comes. I think that's probably what's going to happen next, actually. So I'll tell you. The headstock is a cool looking shape, but it's just too wide. So the tuning pegs on this side would drag the strings out of their slots in the nut. So I'm going to take the tuners out, cut the headstock a bit narrower, drill new holes and put them back in. I've tidied up the frets. What then do I need to do? Then I need to do the wiring. And it's slightly challenging wiring for me anyway. Wiring's all challenging for me, but this one is even more so because it has a different type of switch. I'll talk about that later. Then it might be ready. We'll see. All right, let's get into it. Okay. Now I'm just using the ruler to get a sense of where the string will come down the neck and over the nut. All right, this is much better than it was. The string doesn't have to be dead straight when it goes over the nut, but the closer to it, the better. And that's pretty good. Make marks. Okay, the positions are marked. Let's make some holes. Maybe I could do it by hand. I will do it by hand. And I suppose it does look a bit more metal to have a thin, pointy headstock, doesn't it? Does it? I don't know. Too late now. It's done. But it works, and that's what I was going for. So the frets I've given a bit of a tidy up. I need to do that wiring. I'm not really looking forward to that. Not really the kind of thing you want to watch either. And aside from that, there's only one other thing that I might do on this guitar, but I might not. See, this guitar was made back in the day when I was making all my necks really quite thick. I may want to thin that down. I mean, I don't have to. I'll think about that, though. I may thin it down. It's work, and I am a little bit lazy, so I might not do it. I should do the wiring. Yes. The type of switch that I'm using here is not your standard three-way toggle switch that you get on lots of guitars. And you might think, why has he got a switch when there's only one pickup? Well, this particular type of pickup made by Warman, I forget what it's called, but it's a quad bucker. It's got the equivalent of two humbuckers 4 rails, and it's splittable, and you can split it using this type of switch, which in electronics terminology is called an on switch. And well, you follow the wiring. So in theory, I should be able to have the whole pickup on, just one humbucker on, and then just one rail on. So hopefully a somewhat diverse sound from just the one pickup. We'll see how I get on. The first time that I talked about shielding guitar cavities, it was with the guitar made from junk timber, where at the time I didn't shield the cavity, and I commented on the fact that I could have, and that not everyone does it, not everyone likes it. But since then I've decided that I like it. It is, well, it's good to have as much silence as possible when you don't want noise. And I've since gone back and shielded the cavity on that guitar, and I think I'll make a practice of always doing it. So as one of the ways of bringing this one up to standard, up to the standard I now have anyway, I've decided to shield the cavity here. The cavity where the controls are is a bit more tricky. I haven't shielded that, not with copper tape. It doesn't, just because of the way I did it, I made that, it doesn't easily lend itself to my doing so, so I won't for now. You can get some high graphite paint and shield it that way, but I don't have any. So a quick update on where things are at. I took that switch out. I'm not saying it's faulty, but I couldn't get it to play ball. It's possibly just a gap in my knowledge, and one day I'll find such things much easier. But I was getting sound from the pickup, but not in every switch position, and it was becoming a bit of a pain. So I just removed it from the equation. Now it's just that pickup, and I reminded myself of the name. It's the Warman Dominator, which is a quad bucker. So I've got all 4 rails humming, going through a volume and a tone. Yes, there is a hole there where I took that switch out, but I've ordered another part to do something slightly different, and I'll show you that when it arrives. In the meantime, I'm replacing the tuners with these ones. The ones that were in there weren't very nice. They they looked okay, but they were a bit dodgy. They weren't quite doing what they were supposed to. So I'm replacing those and stringing the guitar up. I have identified one more task, and I think it's the only further task that I'm going to do on the guitar, but it's a biggie. You'll recall that I just touched up the frets, just making sure they're all nice and leveled, and they are nice and level, but I'm not happy with them. For one, I may have mentioned this, they're incredibly low, really low. And I know some guitars have low frets, but now that I've put one string on, I'm just played a bit with that string. I really don't like how low they are. I don't like it at all. So I'm going to, and not only are they low, but there are some points where, they're just, when I did it, I knew less, I had less practice, and they're a bit ugly. I couldn't fix that other than by removing the damaged part, and that would only further misshape the fret. So I'm going to do something I've not done before, and that is a refret job. Putting new frets in is just the same as fretting a guitar for the first time, but getting the frets off without doing any damage, that's the trick. Okay, let's do that. So here's the approach I'm taking to getting them out. I've taken one out without issue. So now that I know I can in principle do it, I'll show you. I'm just starting out with a craft knife and just sticking the point under the edge of the fret and cleaning that out. This makes it less likely, well, hopefully it'll avoid altogether the possibility of me breaking out chips of the fretboard when I pull the fret out. There was a little bit of I think, it's so long ago, I can see a little bit of glue, white glue. So yeah, there would have been a little bit of glue in the slot, and that does pose a slight risk of causing chip out. I'll call it chip out. I don't know if that's a thing. So I'm just trying to avoid that. Okay, now to get this out, you'll want some nippers that have a flat ground face. And instinctively, because it would be effective to get it out, you think you're going to grab it and then rock it back and forth to get it out. But of course you can't do that here, or you'll cut big dents into the fretboard. Just need to get a good grip of it. Maybe the edge, gripping it at the edge would help. Okay, so that started to raise it up. And just by pinching it, you'll be pulling it out of the slot. Okay, good. That slightly messy stuff on the surface is just glue. That's fine. I'm going to clean the fretboard up with some wire wool, steel wool rather, once I've got all these frets out. And then I'll re-oil it, make it all look nice and shiny. Of course, it's very important to support the neck as you're hammering the frets in, obviously. Don't just rest it on the headstock or you'll snap something. Gosh, and just look at, just by vibrating the neck as I hammer it, you can see the bits of stuff that have come out. So I'll go along each slot now and clean it again, and then I'll continue with these frets.